Folks, this is Steve Sampson and Stephanie Phillips with Veterans in Politics. Well, we have another segment about the family court corruption, and we have Michael Sternberg, who's going to due process denied for family court corruption. So before we get to Mr. Sternberg, Ms. Phillips.
Thanks for joining us, everybody, and thank you to our sponsors. We have Dr. Ari Nagy. He's running for Congressional District 3. His website is nagyforcongress.com, and that's F-O-R, nagyforcongress.com. Jump on his website and see what his platform is all about. We also have Henderson's mayor, Michelle Romero. She's running for re-election. Her website is votemichelleromero.com, votemichelleromero.com. And we also have Cody K. Whipple. He is running for Congressional District 4. And his website is codykforcongress.com. That's the number 4, codykforcongress.com. Check out his platform. Also, don't forget to grab your copy of Steve's book, How to Navigate Nevada's Family Court System. If you are a family court litigant and you don't have an attorney and can't afford one, this is a self-help book and it will help you navigate that system. You can get a copy of this on Amazon. It is $14.99. So grab your copy. Also, we have a merch store. It's vipimerch.com. vipimerch.com. We have all kinds of fun stuff on there for you to check out. And don't forget to grab your tickets to our Valentine's Ball. It is February 7th of 2026. We have early bird tickets on sale right now. And if you get on our Facebook pages or text us or just get in touch with us, we will send you the link to get tickets. And that price will go up soon to regular price. So save yourself some money and get your tickets early. I don't really have a rant other than this really isn't long, but the government now, the Senate finally, 8 Democrat senators found some common sense and they voted with the Republicans to open the government and sign that CR as is without having to put in there that we're going to pay for illegal aliens' healthcare. So our 2 U.S. senators, Rosen and Cortez Masto, they're all, putting out online that they voted yes, finally, to open the government. And they want kudos and accolades and all this. But if you read further down, they are still going to fight for this funding for illegals' healthcare to be put back in some bill later on. I can't believe that any American citizen, anyone who's elected, anyone could support our hard-earned tax dollars to pay for illegals while we have veterans on the streets, children on the streets of this country who are American citizens. So anyway, that's great that these senators sign. We're glad the government is open. But Rosen and Masto, Cortez Masto, please, until you guys really start representing Americans and not illegals, I don't, forget the kudos and forget the accolades. It's just not deserved.
I'd like to know why that is.
I would like to know why that is, too.
They take an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States.
It's incredible.
And the people that vote for them are Americans. So why would they want to support a foreign agent, so to speak? Because that's what that is, right?
Don't know. It is beyond my comprehension. And it's amazing how many people actually support that ideology. I mean, they were all for the open border and all these illegals coming in because that's their voter base. They wanted to beef up the Democrat voter base. And that's where, these people came from. That's why they supported that. And it's disgraceful.
So what you're saying, it's a scam?
A scam. It's a scam on the American taxpayer.
Basically.
Yeah, that they're spending our money, in that sort of way. But not anymore. Thank you, President Trump. And thank you, the Republican-led Congress.
Well, we're going to have an exciting show today.
Yeah, we got a lot to get to. Huh.
I've coined the term taxpayer defrauder. So if you guys would like to start using it, I'm giving you my blessing.
Yeah, we need to make a t-shirt.
Yes, I use it frequently online with our local and state government officials.
Yeah.
So
really is what it is.
Mr. Sternberg,
Yes, sir.
thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. You're the first media in years to
Really?
cover this story.
Well, we're honored.
So thank you.
Could you give us a bio, please?
Yes. So my name is Michael Sternberg. I was born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. I went to Clark High School.
Mm-hmm.
I served in the Army Reserves in Clark High School during my senior year. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was a 88 Mike truck driver during my senior year at a local reserve unit. I went active duty after and went into the infantry. I served with 10th Mountain Division. I went air assault. I got my expert infantryman's badge.
Okay.
I went and deployed to Bosnia.
All right.
And then I got out of the military in 2000 and traveled around the world for a while, studying languages. When I got out of the military, I was living in Frankfurt, Germany with the military. So I moved to Munich, studied German, studied Spanish in Costa Rica. And so did a lot of traveling, came back home. And in 2008, got re-engaged with the military.
Okay.
I was invited to go work with a Air Force Special Forces unit at Moffett Field it's in between San Francisco and San Jose.
Okay.
And so a caveat was I had to join the California National Guard as a part-timer, and then I could do this thing. And so served with the California Air National Guard, Army Guard, and then after all that, I came home. So that's the short version. Now, and we'll get back to some of my bio in more detail, but now I'm running full-time at Father in Exile on YouTube and on my social media, where I'm documenting my crusade against almost all of the California and Nevada government, because in 2021, Aaron Ford and his goons falsely arrested me on
The Attorney General
of Nevada
Okay.
arrested me on a California warrant, if you can imagine such a thing, that he knew had been obtained by fraud, seized my children and trafficked them to California, and I have not seen them since. And so
And this is 4 years ago.
that was September 29th, 2021. And so I had to get through that ordeal, and then I sued everybody in federal court. Now, just like I've been having difficulty getting media interested, it's very hard to find a civil rights lawyer in Las Vegas that knows anything. So I've had to do this all myself. I've taken Steve Wolfson's absolute prosecutorial immunity from him, also his subordinate, Caroline Morales. I took Attorney General Ford's qualified immunity and all of his subordinates. Judge Eric Goodman, who is responsible in my lengthy incarceration.
Where is he?
He's in a Las Vegas.
Judge Eric
Goodman, Las Vegas Justice Court. He refused to let me out on bail, which we need to talk about that. That's a huge issue. And so none of these people have escaped. I've beat them all, and now I'm litigating 3 cases, which is what we're gonna talk about tonight.
It is amazing. Okay, so go through, because I've read this stuff and it's lengthy, but if you can give us the short version of that warrant from California and why you were put in jail, and for that kind of an offense, why would there be no bail? I mean, they let murderers out. They let, these people, rapists out.
Yep.
I thought you were innocent until proven guilty.
This is actually a huge deal, and part of my federal lawsuit is challenging this law, and what happened is unconstitutional. The first thing I'll say is I went and gave public comments at the Nevada Supreme Court last week and talked about this, and I would encourage people to go on my YouTube channel and look at that and listen to those public comments. It's audio only, but I'm trying to get the video from the Supreme Court right now. But the way that this all kind of started is when I was at Moffett Field at that Air Force Special Forces unit, my ex and I broke up after we had our 2 children. And we had worked out private deals on how we were going to do everything, but then she surreptitiously filed a family law case in Santa Clara County, California. And within 2 months, we agreed to dismiss it. And we actually executed the dismissal twice. And then we proceeded to co-parent for the next several years. So from 2012 to 2018 with no issues. What happened was I got out of the Army Guard at that time in 2015. I moved back home to Las Vegas, and I just went back and forth every week or every other week, or to see the kids. And we worked and they came to Vegas with me, and it was fine.
How old are they now?
My oldest is 16, and his younger brother's 15. And so I haven't seen them since 2021. But so we co-parented. Everything was fine. She moved from from San Jose to South Lake Tahoe, which I didn't have a problem with, because for me it was the same either way. I'm going back and forth, right? So she moves to South Lake Tahoe with the boys. She ends up getting a DUI with the kids in the car, 2.5 times the legal limit. Mm-hmm. So there's a criminal case that ensues. CPS gets involved. I tell them to get uninvolved because I don't want them anywhere around my kids.
Yeah.
And Shelly, my ex, and I agree that the kids are going to move back here to Las Vegas permanently. She's going to.
So at this time, Nevada didn't have jurisdiction.
There was no family court case.
Okay.
Yeah, because everything was private, right? And that I'm not going to say that it was a mistake on my part not to file at that point because it's all a circus anyway. So who knows how that would have come out, right? But I didn't file a family court case against her when she got the DUI. I kicked CPS out of it. I tried to keep everything private. So anyway, she gets a sweetheart plea deal from the El Dorado County District Attorney on the DUI, and then abducts the kids. And I immediately file a family court action here in Clark County. I get Judge Rhonda Forsberg. Shelly, my ex, responds and says, you don't have jurisdiction. Jurisdiction's in California where that original family court case was. And I said, no, wait a minute. We dismissed that case. We agreed to dismiss it. I gave the copies of the dismissal to Judge Rhonda Forsberg, but she nevertheless held what's called a UCC-JEA conference. So UCC-JEA stands for Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction Enforcement Act. There's another important point. That law is supposed to be uniform around the several states. It is not uniform anymore, and we are suckers. California has changed that law to allow, for example, if somebody wants to get their kid to have transgender surgery, they can run off to California and California will protect them. And so that law is not uniform anymore. And so that's something that you guys should consider looking into. I don't have the bandwidth to challenge everything. So anyway, my hearings in front of Judge Forsberg are up on my YouTube. They're also up on Veterans in Politics because I sent them to you many years ago. And what happened is Judge Forsberg had the California family judge call in. So this is all on video.
So your videos are on Veterans in Politics YouTube channel?
On your YouTube channel, yeah. And so you can watch and listen to the California family judge admit on the record that she's reading ex parte declarations from my ex and her attorney, and she's refusing to give up jurisdiction.
Oh, wow.
And so Judge Forsberg actually fights back not for me, but for justice for a little bit, because here are some issues. My ex had an apartment here. When all parties leave the other state, there is no jurisdiction there, right? My ex registered to vote here and swore under penalty of perjury that Las Vegas was her sole legal residence, right? And yet, despite all that, this California judge was a bully, and Judge Forsberg caved and ceded jurisdiction to California. And then ever since, it's been nothing but ex parte fraud after ex parte fraud after ex parte fraud. And so where
was the children at this point?
My ex was withholding them in California.
Now, how come you guys seemed to get along and work together for all those years, and you would visit and I imagine have the boys here for visits. How come you couldn't have visitation or see them? Did she think that if she let them come visit you, that you would never let them go back to California?
I can't speak for her because I don't actually understand her, but except for this one point that I'm going to say, which was prior to her abducting the kids after she got her plea deal, she told me that she regretted making the agreement that the kids could live here permanently. And she wanted to talk about it. And I said, I'm not.
You mean in California?
No, here in Las Vegas. And I said, I'm not open to that. You got a DUI with our kids in the car. I am not open to them living with you full time without me there in California.
That's also child neglect.
Yeah. So because I said that, she said, okay, well, I'm not going to talk to him anymore. Now I'm going to do this thing where I use the courts as a weapon. There's an important part of this story, which is that her father was on the ground floor of Intel and Apple. So she has a lot of wealth behind her. And that has played a huge role in this. And so at that point, we couldn't work together anymore. And she decided, that she was going to bludgeon me to death with the court. So what happened is she has this lawyer named Tristan Ashelman, who from the very beginning has been committing these ex parte frauds. So for example, after Judge Forsberg here ceded jurisdiction to California, he just wrote up his own order and mailed it in the mail to this California judge. This is a California attorney doing this, right? So, because we had 2 sets of attorneys for that jurisdictional conference. So her California attorney wrote up his own order for a non-existent hearing because there was nothing noticed in California. The only thing noticed was here in Las Vegas. And sent it ex parte to Judge Roberta Hayashi in Santa Clara, California. And it had like findings of fact and conclusions of law and all this stuff. And she just signed it. And I've taken that thing all the way up to the Supreme Court. And now I'm taking it all the way up to federal courts. And I'm still fighting the fact that you're not allowed to do that. You know?
In California.
Anywhere. You can't do that anywhere. Yeah. And so, and so immediately after the abduction, I went to LVMPD, which, by the way, it's parental relocation without prior permission of a court or the other parent is a felony in Nevada. It's NRS 200.359.
Did they tell you it's a civil claim? No.
They told me it's a civil matter. Now I'm shoving my civil matter up their butts. But they have a policy that tells them exactly what they're supposed to do, that they shall take a report. They to this day, they refuse to take a report. So I went to LVMPD. I talked to Attorney General Ford's missing persons or investigators for years. I talked to the South Lake Tahoe Police Department. I talked to the El Dorado County District Attorney. I gave them tons of evidence showing them that my kids were taken and that all these ex parte frauds are going on, and they don't care. None of them care. They don't care. They're totally committed to the system, right?
It's not their kids.
Yeah. So what happens is she goes and gets another fraudulent ex parte order from one of these judges, a judge that's not even on my case, because now I'm moved to disqualify the judge that's on my case.
Good.
And so she goes and gets a fraudulent ex parte order from this other judge. She then gives it to the El Dorado County District Attorney's Office, who knows the whole history of this case because I've been complaining for 2 years, right? They then go to an El Dorado County judge and lie to get a warrant for my arrest. And they don't disclose to this judge my 2-year history.
What did they put on the warrant?
They said that they basically said that I was in violation of custody orders, and they didn't give the 2-year history of all the frauds that were going on and the fact that they knew I was not getting notice or opportunity to be heard.
Was it signed by a judge?
Yeah. So,
who was the judge?
I can't remember. I will come back and put it in the comments. It's too many players. And the warrant was actually withheld from me until just recently. I just now got the warrant like 3 months ago.
Okay.
But so they went and they lied to this judge to get this warrant. Then they transmitted my information and this warrant to Nevada Attorney General Aaron Ford's goons and imbeciles, who said, okay, now we're going to get this guy, right? Now I need to back up one little step before the warrant. They actually showed up at my house unannounced before the warrant. And this Ring doorbell footage is up on my YouTube channel. So you can see it. It's got like 150,000 views or something like that. And these two morons from Attorney General Ford's office, it's Dave Monroe and Gina Lavero, are literally sitting there like, yep, you reported corruption to us. Yep, that's not our problem. Corruption's not our problem. You know, I don't know what you expect us to do. You know,
whose problem would that be?
Yeah, he's like, and he's like, man, he's like, I'm really worried about stepping into this because this is like some mess and there's like a huge gray area here and I don't know what's going on. And then a week later, they get the warrant and they pull me over.
Of course.
Yes. In front of a school. So they get the CCSD police, who I'm also suing, to pull me over in front of a school at gunpoint as it's getting out, endangering not only me and my kids, but everybody else's kids. All right. And so the body cam footage for that is also up on my YouTube channel.
How many views that got?
That I can't remember. The Chief Scott one is the latest one. You know about that. You know about that because you posted about Chief Scott. Yeah, he's got 12,000 views already in just the last week.
Okay. What year is this?
This is 21. This is not September 29th, 2021. Okay. Yeah. So all these morons pull me over in front of the school at gunpoint with all these kids around, and they take my kids. And you can hear on the body cam that they had been coordinating with Shelley's lawyer, California lawyer, Tristan Ashelman. And that's going to be an important point later on in my federal civil rights lawsuit. But so they take my kids and they throw me in jail. Now, this is where we have a big problem. A big problem that Veterans in Politics, I think, needs to look into. If you're a Nevada citizen and you're arrested on a Nevada warrant, it's mandatory bail, with a few exceptions like murder and some other heinous crimes. It's mandatory bail. If you're a Nevada citizen and you're arrested on a foreign warrant, which, by the way, to this day, none of them can explain how a California warrant has any authority in Nevada, because it doesn't, right? What they can do is arrest you under the Nevada Extradition Act, Uniform Criminal Extradition Act, which says if, as an officer, if you reasonably believe that this person is charged lawfully in a foreign jurisdiction with a crime that is 1 year or more in jail, then you're allowed to arrest. But then you got to take the person straight to a Nevada magistrate. Otherwise, you have to get a warrant, right? So they didn't reasonably believe that I was lawfully charged because they admitted on my Ring doorbell camera a week prior that they knew about all the corruption and everything else, right? So regardless, if you get arrested on this foreign warrant, which has no authority, you go to extradition court. Now, the Supreme Court said, and I don't remember the name of the case, but this was a while ago, oh, extradition court is not that important. You're not entitled to a lawyer. So that's a big problem because of what I'm about to...
You can't have a lawyer in extradition court.
You're not entitled to one. I had one, and out of 60 people, I was the only one that had one. Wow. Because I hired a private attorney ahead of time because I knew this was coming, right? Mm-hmm. And
it's nice they visit you like a week ahead of time and kind of give you the rundown.
Oh, well, he turned out not to be that great. Man, lawyers are a huge problem. Lawyers are a huge problem with incompetence, but we'll get into that later. But I had a lawyer there, and I was the only one. And I was also the only one to refuse to waive extradition because what they try to do is they get Metro, all these correctional cops, to shark attack you like you're in basic training. And they try to get you to waive extradition. And they threaten you. And they say, if you don't waive extradition, you could be here for months. You need to waive. If you waive and they never come get you, the other jurisdiction, we'll let you out. And they're right. They don't let you out for months because they don't follow the law. So instead of giving you bail, right, what they do is they make you file a habeas corpus petition with the district court. So not only do you not get a lawyer, not only are they not following the law, but now you don't get bail. So you could be in jail for 4 months, 6 months, just trying to figure things out because, I was in there and I had a support system on the outside. So I was coordinating things through the prison telephone, the jail telephone. Mm-hmm. Imagine if you didn't have my resources or my wherewithal or my knowledge. Yeah. And there was somebody in Judge Eric Goodman's courtroom next to me that had been there for 4 months in this like extradition limbo.
Because they couldn't afford an attorney and they didn't know what to do and how to process that? They didn't know what to do
and all that stuff. Yeah. So I mentioned this to the Supreme Court last week. Like, this is a huge problem, what you guys have created. You have Steve Wolfson and his loser goon squad are not following any of the rules. Metro's not following any of the rules. The judges are not following any of the rules. And so you have people in there just rotting in jail.
Could you be more specific and tell me what rules they're not following and who's not following them?
So one rule would be the arrest rule. If you're going to arrest somebody, you have to get a Nevada warrant. Unless you know that they have been reasonably charged and lawfully charged for a crime that's a year or more in jail. But what Metro routinely does is they just do a warrant check on, like they'll go up and down the strip every day and arrest tourists because they have warrants in other jurisdiction. And so same thing, you have people in there that are tourists that have no idea what to do. Right. And they just kind of like fumble their way through the system until they figure it out.
Nevada doesn't have a law in place or have anything in place to force bail to be set on these types of cases in extradition court?
Even if there were a law, which there's not, but you just hit the nail on the head. The way that you force a judge like Judge Eric Goodman to respect your rights is you have to file a petition for writ of habeas corpus or writ of mandamus or whatever with a higher authority, a higher judge. Okay, but that takes time. First of all, you have to figure out how to do that, right? And then if you want,
how would people even know what that is?
Exactly. So most people basically waive extradition, and the ones that don't want to waive extradition in the beginning, they end up caving, 2, 3, 4 weeks
just to get out of jail.
Just to get out of jail.
So the laws need to change here in Nevada when it comes to that.
The law,
they need to set a bail and force these judges to set a bail amount for that particular
it should be It should be the same treatment for everybody. And so that's why Judge Eric Goodman has not escaped my federal lawsuit. And I'm going to litigate that to the ends of the earth in the federal court and say he violated my rights. He treated me differently than every Nevada citizen that has been arrested on a Nevada charge. right? He violated my 14th Amendment right to due process. He locked me up for 2 weeks, unreasonable seizure, all that stuff. And I'm going to ask the federal judge to rule that the way that the Uniform Criminal Extradition Act is being applied not only to me but to everybody is unconstitutional.
He's coming up for re-election.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot
he
of them
was on the show not too long ago.
Aren't all the judges, or is that at the Clark County?
No, two JPs are in Las Vegas is coming up for re-election. He's one of them.
Yep. So
and then DA is coming up for re-election as well.
Yeah.
And then all the district court judges, including the family, Rhonda Fosberg, she's coming up for re-election as well.
So it would sure be nice if the media reported on the fact that I took Steve Wolfson's prosecutorial immunity. That is rarer than winning the lottery.
Explain, if you can, shortly, or as quick as you can, how that all happened. Because I remember reading that, and it's it's lengthy, and it is a process. But how did you do that? And
and while you're doing that, explain what that means.
Yes. Okay. So let's go into a brief history here. A lot of these immunities, everybody online knows about qualified immunity because they see a lot of stories about cops abusing that, right? Mm-hmm. But you also have absolute prosecutorial immunity, you have absolute judicial immunity. All of these immunities come from pre-American history. And when the civil rights statutes were passed, and so specifically 42 USC 1983 is the civil rights statute used to sue people who violate your rights under color of state law. When those laws were passed, Congress never explicitly said, well, those old ways of giving immunity to these people, we're not getting rid of that. They never explicitly said that. And so the American judiciary's wisdom, as usual, is like, well, Congress didn't explicitly say we couldn't give these immunities out, so we're going to continue to give these immunities out. Now, the other side of that is Congress has just been ignoring this for hundreds of years, right? The Supreme Court has routinely said that at any time, if Congress wants to get rid of judicial immunity or prosecutorial immunity or qualified immunity, they can. They have to just pass the statute to do it. And they've never done that. And so these things were brought forward from pre-American history. Now, absolute prosecutorial immunity, what that basically says is that when a prosecutor is acting as an advocate in a court proceeding, anything that they do in their role as an advocate, they are immune. So you cannot bring a civil rights lawsuit against them later on, even if it was malicious or illegal or horrible or whatever, and you can't do it. Mm-hmm. The big exception to that, and how I got them, is you cannot make false statements under oath as a prosecutor, because now you are transferring yourself from the role of an advocate to the role of a witness. Mm-hmm. And so the problem for Steve Wolfson is that his subordinate, who was representing him in front of Judge Eric Goodman,
who is Caroline Morales.
She filed a false, because I refused to waive extradition, she filed a false sworn criminal complaint against me. And in the criminal complaint, she alleged, under oath, that I fled from justice from the state of California. Well, not only is that not true, but the people in California didn't even allege that. Mm-hmm. So,
did you file a complaint with the state bar?
I did. I'm also suing the state bar. Do you know about that?
No.
Oh, you don't know about that? Yeah. No. Now the state bar is now in my second civil rights lawsuit.
You better be careful, or else they might make you a vexatious litigant.
They can try, but here's. I actually did a live today on my YouTube channel to prep for your show today and ask, hey, what do you guys want me to focus on and stuff like that. And a lot of the questions were like,
what's your YouTube channel again?
At Father in Exile. Yeah. So a lot of people were asking me, like, how are you getting away with, like, just maligning these people out in the open and exposing them, and there's nothing happening to you, right?
It's called the First Amendment.
Well, what it's called is I launched my social media the same time that I launched my federal litigation. Mm-hmm. So, like, my YouTube channel has almost 13,000 subs. So all of this corruption and nonsense is just now happening all out in the open, right? And so we'll see what they're going to do, but everybody's going to know about it. And it's going to be documented for all posterity. And my kids, of course, are one day going to see all this stuff and know how hard I fought for them.
So do you even talk to your kids?
No. She cut off all communication with my kids. I haven't talked to them in years.
Haven't they? I wonder if they. I wonder what she tells them. What happened to Dad? How come you can't just drive over there to her house and see your kids?
Well, so that's the other reason I'm getting away with all this, is because I know where the boundaries are. and I'm not going to get myself
He'll put himself in trouble.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into a situation where they can falsely arrest me.
What does the court order say?
There are no. So the most recent court order was the ex parte fraud that she got in 2021.
So there's no court order saying you get half the time, she gets the other half?
No. It just basically, she went ex parte and got sole legal, sole physical custody. No hearing, no evidence, no cross-examination.
Isn't that parental alienation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the official definition that you're using, but it is what it is. But here's the problem.
So she's got a court order saying that she has sole custody.
She has the ex parte one.
Were your legal rights taken from you?
Well, temporarily, because of the ex parte order.
What does that mean, temporarily? 2 months, 3 months, 5 months?
It's just an indefinite order because I'm not going back into that corrupt court, right? So that's part of the problem is we have.
So if you were going to file for custody or joint custody or visitation, you would have to file that in California.
And here's the problem. Exactly. I would have. So first of all, this is where we're going to get convoluted, and I apologize. One of the aims of my federal civil rights lawsuit is I am challenging as void all of that fraud that happened in the Santa Clara Family Court. All that's still pending right now, right? Because unfortunately, all the wins that I've had, which were important wins, the judge has made some mistakes. Now, he did fix, I've already won another thing that's rare, is I won a motion for reconsideration on anti-SLAPP. But by the way, when I was doing that motion, I was reading your case at the Supreme Court. So thank you for litigating stuff like that all the way to the end.
And thanks to Maggie McLetchie and Annette Levy.
Yes, it was,
What judge was that in front of?
Which side?
The anti-SLAPP, what you're talking about?
So Judge Gordon, the federal Judge Gordon, not the...
Oh, okay.
There's two Judge Gordons.
Gotcha.
So just a quick point on that real quick, because this is another way that I'm beating these people. And I want to make sure everybody knows how I'm doing it is I read cases. So these crooked attorneys that I'm up against in federal court, I don't even know what they're doing. I don't know if they're using AI or whatever. I have no idea, but they file these frivolous responses and they cite all these cases. And then I just go read all the cases. And not only do the cases not say what they say, but they tell me that I'm right. And they tell me how to do what I need to do. Right. So
it's like reverse psychology.
Yeah. So Judge Gordon, the federal Judge Gordon, actually granted Shelley's anti-SLAPP motion on my abusive process claim early on, but I filed a motion for reconsideration and read your case and was cited it and said, you made a mistake. Let me show you how to fix it. And he agreed. And he's like, you're absolutely right. I made a mistake. And he reconsidered and kicked the anti-SLAPP.
Have you ever introduced yourself to a guy named Vem Miller for America Happens?
I've not introduced, but he found I have a Substack as well. And I've only written a few articles, but one of them was how I beat prosecutorial immunity. And I tell everybody how I did it. I linked to all the documents and Vem found it. And he sent me a message saying, this is fabulous. If you ever want to talk, let me know.
Well, you should talk to him. He's doing another segment on the family court.
Okay. Well, I did tell him what I said was Veterans in Politics talk show is my priority. So, and because I don't have a lot of free time, because I'm too busy whooping the butts of government grift goblins in the federal court. So let me do Veterans in Politics, and then I'll reach out to you later. So that's the plan. So where we were talking about absolute prosecutorial immunity. Yeah, you can't lie under oath. So I pointed that out to the federal judge, and he's like, "Yeah, you're right. You can't lie under oath. So nope, no immunity."
Isn't that a common sense thing?
Mm-hmm. You would think.
Have you ever heard of the right to lie case? The CPS. You would be interested in that.
The right to lie.
It's up on my channel. So,
I need to go watch that.
Isn't that perjury and fraud and all those other legal stuff that goes with it?
That's what the Ninth Circuit justices said. So we are very fortunate in some respects that we have the U.S. Ninth Circuit as our federal appellate circuit. Unfortunately, I've lost a little bit of respect for them lately. We can talk about that later. But they are the only one that has cameras in the courtroom for oral arguments and a rich, deep archive of argument hearing videos. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I started doing to grow my social media and to also learn and read cases is I would go into the Ninth Circuit archives where these videos are getting basically no views. And I would find all the ones where somebody beat qualified immunity or beat judicial immunity or whatever. And I'd put it up on my YouTube channel and I would link to the decision. And those cases are just getting hundreds of thousands of views.
Wow.
Like people eat them up. And so one of them is called the right to lie case. And it's CPS basically went in and took somebody's kids and then lied to a judge in order to prolong this abduction. And
That sounds familiar.
That sounds familiar.
And so the oral arguments are up on my channel, and the attorney representing the government is like putting on this forceful case that they should have the right to lie to a judge. And the three justices are like, "Are you out of your mind? Like, what are you talking about?" So it's very entertaining. I recommend. I'll text it to you later.
Yeah.
Let me write that down for you because you have to watch that.
Right to lie.
The CPS right to lie.
I've never heard of such animal.
Ain't that something? Because that's what they do.
Because they're telling you not to lie, to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, right?
Except them. They
Except
get
for them.
Uh-huh.
We all know they don't do that. So I don't know. Let's see. So I have So some of the defendants got dismissed out of here, out of Las Vegas, out of the federal court here, because of personal jurisdiction issues. So that's something I had to learn along the way. And I want to mention this as a word of encouragement to everybody out there. Like, don't be afraid to go and fight for your rights in federal court. You learn as you go. There's nothing that you can do that's absolutely fatal. I mean, there's a few things, but the laws are all on our side. They have to give you a right to amend your complaint as long as amendment wouldn't be futile. There's all kinds of ways to fix things. But one of the things I learned along the way was that some of the people in California that had caused all this mess for me, there was no way I could plausibly allege, which is the standard, that they directed activity at Nevada. And so because I couldn't do that, I had to let them go. I had to agree with the judge, basically. I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to frivolously argue with the judge for no reason, right?
Yeah.
And so...
I'll get you nowhere.
Yes. So I ended up having to file a second case in California, in San Francisco. So that's the people at the California State Bar. That's the district attorneys that are where the family court is. That's the law enforcement and the municipalities where the family court is. So there's that case. And then the third case is back here in Nevada, in Las Vegas. That's the
Aaron Ford.
He's in the first one and he's in the third one. Yeah.
And Wolfson.
Wolfson and Ford are in the first one. So that's all around my false arrest and the abduction and seizure of my children, right? By the way, Aaron Ford's people took my firearm for a year without a warrant. So that's another thing where he lost.
You finally got it back?
I got it back, and they lost immunity for that too.
Why can't you sue him for some civil rights in federal court?
That's what he's doing. Yeah, civil rights. Yeah.
So now I'm on social media, right? And I'm like,
where's Eric Goodman? The third one or first one?
First one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who's in the third?
So now I'm on social media putting everybody on blast.
Who's in the third?
Aaron Ford, Craig Newby, which is the subordinate, and the top brass at the state bar.
Who's that?
You got Kimberly Farmer, who's the executive director of the state bar. You got Dan Hooge or Hoogie, who's the chief counsel and responsible for disciplining people. Mm-hmm. You have Philip J. Paty, who's a subordinate of Dan Hoogie, and or Hoogie. I don't know how to say his name. Sorry. And who else do we have over there? I'm spacing her name right now, but she's the social media person for the state bar.
They have a social media?
Yeah.
What piece of advice would you tell litigants that are going through the family court system? What would you tell them?
That was a quick jump, but I appreciate it because that's the most important thing that I want to say tonight, which is I would encourage everybody to sue a state judge immediately in federal court. The second you feel your rights are violated, if something happens where you don't get notice and opportunity to be heard, if you're not allowed to cross-examine, if they're not following rules, sue them immediately in federal court. You cannot get money. They have judicial immunity. Don't even try it. However, you can, and I want to read this real quick to you. Private parties who corruptly conspire with the state judge, you can sue them under civil rights statutes. Mm-hmm. So I brought this for you because this is a very important point. I have a word processing document where as I read cases, I take the important holdings and I put them under headings so I don't have to go find them again.
Oh, that's great.
All right. So here, let me quote this from this case.
It's only worthwhile to sue them in federal court because you can't really do anything in state.
Yeah, in state court, right? You have discretionary writs and stuff like that. Like, why are you going to give them discretion? Why are you going to give the Supreme Court discretion? Right? Just go straight to federal court, and then now you're pitting the two systems against each other, right? Mm-hmm. So here, this is very important. Private parties who corruptly conspire with a judge performing judicial acts violative of constitutional rights are acting under color of state law. Mm. So that's important. I wanted to read it again because if you're acting under color of state law, you can be sued under the Civil Rights Statute. So private parties who corruptly conspire with a judge performing judicial acts violative of constitutional rights are acting under color of state law. That's Dennis v. Sparks, and that's a U.S. Supreme Court case, 1980, and the citation is 449 U.S. 24. So you can go after people who are ganging up on you in the family court.
But there's one little small caveat to that, because some of them don't know how to do that, and they're trying to get a lawyer, and a lot of lawyers don't want to take that case. They don't want to go after a sit-in judge.
Yeah,
how did they overcome that?
Okay, that's a great question. And so I wanted to mention that thing about private parties, but as long as your statute of limitations hasn't run out, like you don't have to rush into things. The most important thing to do is.
And what's the statute of limitations so people would know?
2 years in Nevada. So from
when?
From the date of the incident. Now there's the continuing wrong doctrine.
The day of the incident, or the day the incident happened, or from the day you filed?
From the day that the incident, the rights violation occurred, right? But there's all kinds of doctrines. There's always a way around stuff, right? So there's like the continuing wrong doctrine. There's conspiracy. There's all these other things. I understand because I was this person once. I was overwhelmed by the corruption. I didn't know the rules. What do you do? So let me just say this as the chief top priority for tonight. The civil rights statute is 42 USC 1983. If you read that statute, it tells you exactly how to sue a judge, a state judge.
Say that one more time.
42 USC 1983, United States Code 1983. And what it says is you can get a declaratory order against the state judge. You cannot go straight to an injunction. You have to do declaratory order first, as long as it's available. And if the state judge violates the declaration, then you can get an injunction from the federal judge. Okay. So what that means is you go to the federal judge and you say, this state judge is violating my due process rights and my 14th Amendment liberty interest in my children. I want it to stop. I want you to declare that when they did that thing without notice and opportunity to be heard, that was a violation of my rights. I want you to declare that. Right? Now, how do you do it if you're overwhelmed and you don't know what you're doing? Our court, our District of Nevada, United States District of Nevada, actually makes it very easy, and most of them do. It has a pro se handbook on the website. There's
what website?
On the United States District of Nevada website. There's a pro se handbook. Just read it. It'll tell you what to do, right? There's a form you fill out to file the lawsuit. So you do not even have to draft something fancy, right?
So you could do all this pro se.
I think anybody can do it. And you just
win.
What's that?
And win.
Well, it remains to be seen. But so far, I took prosecutorial immunity. I took qualified immunity. Now, how do you define winning? I don't know, because, some things are going well and some things are not going well in the federal court, right? And part of my mission is to lure them in for exposure on certain issues, right? So I'm not in a hurry to get through my litigation, with the exception of getting back to my kids. And unfortunately, that's where they made the biggest mistake in the federal court, right? So that's why I would tell people, like, don't wait, like sue right away in federal court. Worst case, like they'll abstain. They'll say, like you need another violation, or let's give it more time. But get the ball rolling, because if you wait, you're going to get blocked out of federal court on several doctrines, like abstention doctrines or Rooker-Feldman or whatever. And you don't want to do that. And these judges, I don't know if they're good people or bad people in the federal court. One of the things that I love about federal court, I've never stepped foot in there. Mm-hmm. Everything is remote. There's no hearings. It's all by the papers.
Oh, wow.
So it's fabulous. Like they can't torture me. I just sit in front of my computer and I just write my response, right? And I don't have to sit there and argue with some dumb lawyer, right?
Does the mom know that you're doing all of this and that you're fighting for the kids? And
yeah, she's a defendant in the federal lawsuit. So
you don't get this time back. 4 years already is a long time. And, your one child is driving, probably.
Yeah, yes.
And, you don't get that time back, and that's just lost. And I just can't, you guys got along before. You've been a good father. You guys have worked on stuff and co-parented. I just don't see how anybody can all of a sudden flip and then keep you away, especially not let them talk to you. I'm surprised that they have not tried to find you themselves, or call you or text you or try.
Well, let me say this. There's a limit to what I can say on live, right? For their protection.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go down that route, but and it's also not their responsibility; it's her responsibility.
Yeah, right.
And there's nothing I can say like what along those lines. Like, I had a hard time accepting the idea that Metro would refuse to do its job. I had a hard time accepting the idea that 3 district attorneys from 3 different counties would sit here and protect this fraud to the point that they concocted a criminal case against me, right? I've had a hard time believing that the federal judge would allow this go on for 2 years, even though he did a lot of right things, he did some things wrong, Mm-hmm. So it is what it is, and I don't have any control over any of that. I'm never going to get that time back, and I've just accepted it. And so, I'm documenting. I have basically 2 choices. I can just lay down and take it, and when they're adults, I can reunite, or I can take what happened to me and make a very public spectacle out of it. Yeah. And that's what I'm going to do. And then along the lines of like, there's always leverage points, right? So just because a federal judge doesn't give you exactly what you want doesn't mean you didn't win. Like Steve Wolfson is going to be sitting for a video deposition. Aaron Ford is going to be sitting for a video deposition. And I'm going to ask him to his face, hey, how long have you been a kidnapper and a thief? Right? And that's going to go up on YouTube.
So you can post those publicly?
At some point, yeah. So, I mean, they may,
will they try and seal the case?
They won't try to seal, but they may try to do protection orders while we're litigating and stuff like that. So it may take a while to get it up on YouTube, but one day it'll be there, and he may not survive he may not win his governorship. At some point, I may apply enough pressure to the legislature that they do articles of impeachment. I mean, I don't know. Senator Scheibel, I've made her famous. She's got 30,000 views on my YouTube channel. When I called her up at her hearing on the first day of the last legislative session, I went on public comments and I chewed her out for 3 minutes in front of a brand new committee. So that's up on YouTube, and she's got 30,000 views. So, the fact that these people just run around and defraud taxpayers, there's nothing I can do about that. But what I can do is expose all these people, and hopefully at some point, what's that game, Jenga? Right? Hopefully at some point I'll just take that one right piece and everything will, keep coming down.
And everything that you say, because I've read some of your documents and, gone to your links and stuff, you're making a lot of claims on here, mm-hmm. but it looks like you have all the backup and you have the facts to support everything that you're claiming. I mean, you lay it out in great detail in your writings.
That's a great point, and you don't have to trust me, and I'll talk about it in a second. But yeah, I make videos like when I beat Steve Wilson's prosecutorial immunity. Of course, I'm going to make a video about that, right? I'm going to embarrass him, and then I'm going to post a link to the order from the federal judge in that video. So yeah, I'm very selective about what I post and what I talk about, and also I have a finite amount of time to do this stuff, the social media stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But the federal court system, the filing system is called PACER, P-A-C-E-R. Right. There's a browser extension called Recap. So that's PACER spelled backwards. Mm-hmm. Recap that comes from a nonprofit. I use that browser extension. And what that does is every time I download a filing, right, because everything that gets filed, I get served. When I download that filing from PACER, it gets sent to the nonprofit's database, and it's free for everybody to go check. So not only can people quickly Google my name and see my case numbers and all that, they can go find my dockets, and they can go look at the documents themselves for free. They don't even have to pay the court system to get these documents. So anybody that wants to check on what I'm saying, that's the easiest thing in the world to do, because I'm using that browser extension.
Do you have anything else for Mr. Sternberg?
Well, we could talk to him for days, about this. But I just, I appreciate you coming on the show, telling your story. And if people say, I know you comment a lot on our stuff. And if you guys see Father in Exile on Facebook or those comments, that is this gentleman. And you have been through so much. And people need to know some of these stories, and they need to know who the judges are, who these people are that are violating your rights. And a lot of people are afraid to come forward. I'm glad that you're coming forward, because this is how we root out the bad elected officials and show their bad behavior and what they're doing that is not good. So I'm glad that you're saying your story.
And for you not seeing your kids for 4 years, that's just troubling. Have you did anything to your children that would the courts will say you can't see them?
Nope. No. And I have even released, so I had some discovery in the family court case. And so we did take her video deposition, Shelly, my ex. And I've already posted clips from that on my YouTube channel where she admits I was never a danger, I was never a threat, I was a good dad. You know, like if he did to you what you did to him, would you feel bad? Would you be angry like him? And she's like, yeah. So there's never any kind of accusation like that. I will say this, and I don't know, am I okay on time?
You're good. Yeah.
Okay, so one of my struggles and why I'm just refused to go into that family court in California anymore, because it's just, like, you think this is bad.
They'll probably issue another warrant for your arrest.
You think Clark County's bad. Santa Clara County is unbelievable. There are no cameras in the courtrooms, and they have no court reporters.
Oh, wow. Huh. So there's no minutes, nothing?
Nothing. Now,
so they can say anything.
Oh, wow.
And the amount of fraud that is going on with these judges in Santa Clara County, and the Supreme Court actually, 3 nonprofits in California filed a writ petition with the Supreme Court saying, you need to order these people to put court reporters in there. We can't represent our clients, our low-income clients on appeal because there are no records. And the California Supreme Court has been sitting on that for a year, right? So they have no cameras, no court reporters. Now, when I go in there, I bring a court reporter, my own. It's $1,000 a pop. I can't keep doing that. So that's another reason I don't go into that courtroom. But my family court file is secret. They won't even let me have it, even after I've shown ex parte fraud. Now, the federal judge, Judge Gordon, in that anti-SLAPP reconsideration, he made a finding. He said a reasonable jury can conclude, based on all this evidence that Michael supplied that I'm looking at, and again, anybody can go online and look at the motion and the evidence. He said a reasonable jury can conclude that Shelley Warnick and Tristan Eshelman defrauded the Santa Clara County Family Court to take his kids. And despite me getting that finding, the State Bar of California refuses to do anything.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And they still refuse to give me my court file, which is a subject of my federal litigation in San Francisco.
So you're having to sue just to get the family court file.
So it's going to be hard for people to check up on what I'm saying in terms of the family court file because it's not public, and I don't even have it.
Are you familiar with the Michael McDonald case?
Yes. Yep. I actually met him once at, I think it was I think it was Santa at Disney at the Christmas party, right?
The Christmas party. Yeah.
You know, he went to jail for wanting to see his kids.
Yep.
It's a shame.
Yep.
You know, they always say that fathers always run away from their responsibility, right? Fathers are never in the children's life. And then you have fathers that want to be involved in the children's life, and the court stopped them. It just doesn't make good sense to me. The
court system is totally dysfunctional. I told the Supreme Court that last week. I really want everybody to go listen to those comments. And a lot of this stuff is unconstitutional. And the problem is that nobody goes into federal court to challenge it. You know, I mean, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there are gun laws that are finally getting challenged after 50 years, 60 years, and they're getting struck down. You know, and a lot of family court is it's unconstitutional.
It's terrible. What was the judge that threw him in jail? I forget. Michael?
Ron Israel.
Oh, okay.
And people ask me why I do this, although I did have a family court case in California, and after a few years, I was successful. But I have none in the state of Nevada. And I tell people the reason why I do it is because I couldn't keep my composure. Something's going to go down. You know what I mean? And if I'm an outsider looking in, I'm more, level-headed, and I could say, hey, Mike, don't do that. Do it this way. But if that was me, I would have just lost my mind a long time ago. For me not to see my kids for 4 years, 2 years, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years.
He'd be knocking on the door. He'd be in California.
Must be crazy. Oh, no way.
It's been tough. And, one of the issues of my federal lawsuit is they did torture me in Clark County jail for 2 weeks.
How so?
I slept on a cement floor for 5 days.
That's inhumane.
Yeah, for 5 days in a freezing
CCDC.
Yes, in a freezing cell. We took toilet paper, stuck it in the toilet to get it wet, and we slammed it up against the air vents to try to get the air to stop coming in because it was during COVID, and they're like, "Oh, in order to stop the spread of infection, we have to have it down to 50 degrees." So I was laying on a cement floor for 5 days with a t-shirt and shorts.
Did you file an IA report? A Citizens Review Board report?
Oh, dude.
Did you get a hold of the sheriff?
You guys don't even know the half of...
Lombardo was the sheriff back then, right?
You guys don't even know the lengths that I've gone to, and we don't have enough time for me to go. But let me just tell you about the Citizens Review Board. I filed a complaint with the Citizens Review Board about everything that Metro has done. They sent me a response closing my complaint.
Of course.
Saying, we don't have jurisdiction over chefs.
They don't have jurisdiction over cops either.
People who cook food. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I didn't complain about a chef. Like, what are you talking about? So I had to get that lady, Julie Craig, on the phone, who's stealing from taxpayers to run that. She's probably making $100,000 a year.
She does.
Yeah. And I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Like, you close this out, and I never mentioned the word chef once. But it's like every institution that I've dealt with, it's that absurd. It's exactly like that.
They closed mine out and said they don't have any jurisdiction. I was talking about cops. I mean, you don't have jurisdiction about LVMPD?
Who was running the jail back then?
I don't the person in charge?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't know.
Well, the sheriff is the ultimate one who runs the jail.
We're gonna find
September of 21.
21, yeah. We're going to find out in discovery, The other thing I want to mention about that real quick was when I finally got out, what ended up happening is...
Wait, did you finally get off of the cement floor? Did they put you in a cell with a cot?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So I was on the cement floor for 5 days. And then they moved me to a cot, and then they moved me to a different cell block. And so I was in jail for 2 weeks total. Wow. And I want to say one last thing about it because it's important. When I finally got out of jail, which is I don't know if we have time for that, but we did a drug deal to get me bail. The cop, as most of them are, super vindictive, the one that's out processing us, he basically says, grab your stuff, your stuff that you checked in at the jail, you check it back out, grab your stuff and get out. And if you don't get out, I'm taking you back upstairs. And he pushed us all out into the freezing cold without our shoes on, without our socks on, without our pants on, with our bags. We don't even do inventory to know if we got all of our stuff back, right? And just shoved us out of the jail. So they should have preserved that footage because I told them to preserve that footage. And that's a subject of this lawsuit.
Well, Mike, we got to go because if I get you under an hour, I can put you on Instagram and TikTok. If it's over an hour, you can't go on those.
I'll come back if you want. Thank you.
Mark's going to zoom in on you. Okay. And you have the final word. You can say whatever, contact you, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, your phone number if you want to give it out.
Probably not. I get a lot of self-represented litigants that I can't help. But my name is Michael Sternberg. I was born and raised here in Las Vegas. I run the @FatherInExile YouTube channel. I'm also @FatherInExile on Facebook and on Twitter. I'm also screwing around with a bunch of lawyers and judges on LinkedIn, terrorizing them. I've taken Steve Wilson's prosecutorial immunity. I've taken Aaron Ford's qualified immunity. And I'm going to keep going until I take video depositions of all of these people and get them up online and expose them all for kidnapping my kids. Thank you for listening to me tonight.
Well, thank you, Michael, for sharing your story. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Folks, that's Michael Sternberg. Due process denied from family court corruption. This story was very interesting. We hope that you have learned from it. And let's keep these politicians honest. This is Steve Sanson, Stephanie Phillips of Veterans in Politics. Until next time.